The morning sun rose slowly over a small coastal town in the Philippines. The light moved gently across narrow streets, wooden houses, and quiet corners where life began early. In one of those corners, a boy named Mateo walked barefoot along the road. He carried a small wooden box tied with string. Inside were simple tools, screwdrivers, small hammers, and rusted pliers. He sold them from door to door to help his family survive. Mateo was 14 years old, thin and soft-spoken. His clothes were clean but worn, washed many times by careful hands. Each morning, before school, he walked the same route. Some days he sold one tool. Some days he sold nothing. Still, he walked with patience, greeting people with a shy smile and quiet voice. When someone said no, he bowed his head politely and moved on. His father had once worked at a repair shop, but the shop closed after a storm destroyed half the town. His mother washed clothes for neighbors when she could. Money was always short. Some nights, dinner was only rice and salt. Mateo never complained. He had learned early that complaining did not change anything. What Mateo did not tell many people was that he loved to sing. At night, when the town grew quiet and the sea whispered in the distance, Mateo sat outside their small house. He sang softly so he would not disturb anyone. His voice was gentle but deep, filled with feeling. He sang songs he heard on the radio, songs about hope, love, and longing. Singing made his chest feel warm. It made the world feel a little less heavy. One evening, his younger sister Lila sat beside him and listened. When he finished, she looked at him with wide eyes. "You should sing on a big stage," she said. Mateo laughed quietly. "That is not for someone like me." But the idea stayed with him. Months later, a small television in a neighbor's house showed a program from far away. It showed bright lights, cheering crowds, and judges sitting behind a long table. The show was America's Got Talent. Mateo watched from outside the window, standing very still. He saw singers, dancers, and people with strange and beautiful skills. He watched as judges smiled, cried, and sometimes pressed a golden buzzer that sent gold confetti into the air. That night, Mateo dreamed of that stage. The dream felt impossible, like wishing to touch the stars. Still, the dream grew. A local charity heard Mateo singing at a community event. They helped him record a simple video. The video traveled farther than anyone expected. One day, a letter arrived. Mateo held it with shaking hands. He had been invited to audition for America's Got Talent. The journey was long and frightening. It was Mateo's first time on a plane. The clouds outside the window looked like endless white fields. His heart beat fast the entire way. When he arrived in America, everything felt huge. The buildings were tall. The roads were wide. The air felt different. Backstage at the theater, Mateo sat alone. His shoes were borrowed. His shirt was plain. Around him, other contestants warmed up, stretched, and laughed confidently. Mateo held his hands together and took slow breaths. He thought of his town. He thought of selling tools in the heat. He thought of his sister's voice telling him to sing on a big stage. When his name was called, his legs felt weak. He walked onto the stage under bright lights. The audience was a dark sea of faces. The judges sat in front of him: Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Sofia Vergara. Simon leaned forward slightly, his expression calm but curious. "What is your name?" Simon asked. "Mateo," he replied softly. "And where are you from?" "The Philippines, sir." Simon nodded. "What do you do back home?" Mateo swallowed. "I sell tools on the street. To help my family." The room grew quiet. Sophia's eyes softened. Heidi smiled gently. "And what will you be singing for us today?" Howie asked. "A song about hope," Mateo said. He took a breath. The music began, slow and simple. Mateo closed his eyes. For a moment, the stage disappeared. He was back home, sitting under the stars. His voice rose, clear and steady. Each word carried his story: long days, tired feet, quiet dreams. The audience leaned in. Some people held their breath. Simon watched closely, his face unreadable. As the song continued, Mateo's voice grew stronger. Emotion filled the room, not loud or dramatic, but deep and honest. Halfway through, Sophia wiped her eyes. Heidi placed a hand over her heart. Howie smiled, shaking his head in disbelief. When the final note faded, there was a moment of silence. Then the theater erupted in applause. The sound washed over Mateo like a wave. His eyes opened wide, unsure if this was real. Simon stood up. The audience gasped. "You know," Simon said slowly, "we see many singers here. But not all of them make us feel something. You did. You reminded us why music matters. Mateo's hands trembled. Simon looked at the other judges, then back at Mateo. A small smile appeared. This, Simon said, reaching forward, is for you. He pressed the golden buzzer. Gold confetti exploded from above, falling like warm rain. Mateo stood frozen as the crowd screamed. Tears ran down his face. He covered his mouth, overwhelmed. The judges stood and clapped. The moment felt endless and bright. Later, backstage, Mateo sat quietly again. But something inside him had changed. He felt lighter, stronger. The weeks that followed were filled with rehearsals and new challenges. Mateo learned to trust himself. He still felt shy, but he walked a little taller. Each time he sang, he remembered where he came from. Back home, the town gathered around televisions. They watched their boy shine. His parents cried. His sister jumped with joy. Mateo did not forget selling tools. He did not forget hunger or long walks. Those memories stayed with him, grounding his voice. In the end, he did not win the entire competition. But he won something else. He won belief. When he returned home, he sang in the same place under the stars. This time, more people listened. Mateo smiled, knowing that even the smallest beginnings could lead to golden moments.